Welcome to Greater Good Radio Hawaii, where leaders inspire leaders. Greater Good Radio Hawaii is dedicated to social entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Evan Leong, and with me is my co-host, Carrie Leong.
Thank you, Evan. Today's guest is retired Navy Captain Jerry Coffey, a keynote speaker, author, and media commentator. Captain Coffey was held captive as a POW for 7 years, which has inspired him to share his story to thousands of people a year across corporate America and international groups as well. Please welcome to Greater Good Radio, Captain Jerry Coffey. Welcome
Hello.
to our show.
Hey, Carrie. Hello there. Thank you very much for having me.
Could you tell us what you're currently doing?
Carrie, currently, I have a lot of irons in the fire, but currently, from a professional standpoint, I'm still speaking on a full-time basis, even though I'm involved in other things which kind of take away from that a little bit. But I'll be speaking about 24, 25 times this year professionally. And that doesn't count the things that I do in the community for military groups and churches and schools and civic groups, that kind of thing as well. So staying really busy and traveling quite a bit, but looking forward to staying home more.
Is your travel related to the business, with your speaking, or do you have something else that you're...
Well, we have family all over the country, actually, but most of the travel relates to our business because I speak literally all over the mainland and in some foreign countries as well. So that gives Susan and me a chance to kind of coattail some of our business trips with family visits as well.
Could you tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure. It's one of the things it's something that I never in my wildest dreams thought that I'd be doing. I mean, nobody goes to college. Well, some people do now, but in my day, nobody went to college to be a professional speaker. There was no kind of a degree or any kind of training for that necessarily. It's a very strange, unusual profession, actually. I ride on an airplane and, the person next to you will be saying, well, what do you do? I said, well, I'm a professional speaker. They might as well say, well, you don't look like a professional speaker. Well, I'm not speaking today. That's why.
Do they ask you to give them a portion of your speech? Because
they
tell
wonder,
them you're a comedian.
I always wait for the next question, and it usually is something like, well, what makes you a professional speaker? What do you speak about? And they say, well, I'm usually billed as an inspirational or motivational speaker. And they say, Then I know they're thinking about it. I said, well, what do you speak about your experiences, or did you write books, or what do you do? And then it ultimately comes out, well, part of my time as a naval officer for 28 years was as a prisoner of war in North Vietnam. I was a Navy pilot and was shot down over the country of North Vietnam, captured, and spent the next 7 years and 9 days there. And I feel that having survived the experience, as most of my friends did there, in that group, survival wasn't anything extraordinary, but going beyond survival was where the real mission was. And by that I mean being able to not only survive the experience, but to return with honor. And that became our mission, our goal. But having survived the experience, I came home and felt a very strong responsibility to capitalize on the credibility that accrued from that experience, from that survival. And the vehicle for capitalizing on it became professional speaking. Spreading that message. And basically it's as simple as trying to plant the seed of belief in people's minds that had it somehow been you or them in my little rubber-tired sandals all those years in prison, you would have survived for the very same reasons that I did, because, look, there's nothing extraordinary about me, really. With the same training and orientation going in, you could have survived too. And if people believe that, and hopefully I help them to believe it a little bit, then it changes their perspective on all the things that are going on in their own lives at any given time, whether that be, personal or professional setbacks and challenges, or financial difficulties, or personal or physical challenges, that kind of thing. And so the feedback that I've received over the years has convinced me that it's been a productive effort, and for me it's been very gratifying.
How do you hold it all together after being in an experience like that? I mean, what was that experience like?
Well, it was very bizarre in some ways, Evan. It was an experience that taught me to be in the moment, certainly to understand that, to be present, for example, and to understand that life certainly has its ups and downs and peaks and valleys, and that if you don't experience both, you're not really living life. And through that kind of philosophy, you sort of learn how to embrace even the pain that comes with life, the setbacks and the challenges and the things that you wouldn't sign up for, certainly, but understand that that's just as much a part of life as the joy and the celebration that goes along with it. And with that kind of understanding, it's hard to get down. You stay up and you understand that it doesn't really matter what happens. this is part of life, and it's what I signed up for by being here. And that I look for ways to make a positive experience. I look for the purpose in everything that happens to me. That was one of the most significant things about the experience in Vietnam, I think, was somewhere along the way, probably after a year and a half or so, I realized that there was a purpose to what I was going through, but I didn't know what it was. I just had faith that there was a purpose. And sure enough, when I came home, I began to realize that the speaking that I've been able to do was the fulfillment of my purpose for going through all that in those years as a POW.
How long were you involved in the military before, I guess, becoming a prisoner of war?
Well, let's see. I joined in 1957 and was shot down in 1966. So about 9 years. I was 32 years old when I was shot down and 39 when I was repatriated. I was a Navy pilot. I'd flown from aircraft carriers in the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, and then, of course, in Southeast Asia during the Vietnam War. And had a fine career going. Made the rank of lieutenant commander a year early, although I hadn't put on the rank literally before I was shot down. But while I was there, I made commander, and it took me a while to answer to Commander Coffee after I got out because it was kind of a foreign concept to me. So my career was sailing around, and gee whiz, I zigged when I should have zagged over North Vietnam, and I got kind of put on hold. But we all realized that even though we might have been shot down, had been captured and became POWs, it didn't change the fact that we were still in combat, and we still had a significant duty to uphold.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.